Well, as always, November 12th looks like it's going to be kind of interesting. This is called Burning the Wrapper. From the beginning, the key to renewal has been shedding, the casting off of old skin. It's a good start. The Polynesians say the world began when Te Aora, their name for the creator, woke to find himself growing inside a shell. He stretched and broke the shell, and the earth was created. Te Aora kept growing, though, and after a time found himself inside another shell. Again, he stretched and broke the shell, and this time the moon was created. Again, Te Aora kept growing, and again he found himself contained by yet another shell. This time the breaking forth created the stars. In this ancient story, the Polynesians have carried for us the wisdom that we each grow in this life by breaking successive shells, that the peace of God within each of us stretches until there's no room to be, and then the world as we know it must be broken so that we can be born anew. In this way, life becomes a living of who we are until that form of self can no longer hold us. And, like Te Aora, in his shell, we must break the forms that contain us in order to birth our way into the next self. This is how we shed our many ways of seeing the world. Not that any are false, but that each serves its purpose for a time until we grow, and they no longer serve us. I have lived through many selves. The first of me, so eager to be great, to set things ablaze, shunned everything that was ordinary. I hunted the burn of a champion's hip and wanted to be a great musician too, to be famous and extraordinary. But as I grew, the notion of fame left me lonely in the night. Thrones, no matter how pretty, have only room for one. The second of me wanted to be covered by waves, inhale the stars, and move like a song. Now I wanted to be the great music itself, but to be the great thing was still as lonely as it was magnificent. Ew. The third of me gave up on greatness. It was how I let others draw close. I asked more questions, not really interested in answers, but more the face below the face about to speak. And then, during cancer, there came yet another self. There, bent and distorted in the hospital Crone, as the late sun flooded my pillow. I was dead in the Crone, alive on the pillow, a quiet breath between. Dead, alive, at once. And oddly, it did not scare me, for I felt the pulse of life in the quiet breath, and the place to which I transcended is here. Almost dying was another shell I had to break. It has led me to realize that each self unfolds just one concentric womb en route to another, each encompassing the last. I would believe in arrival, but for all the arrivals I've broken on the way. Yep. So an interesting thing, when I was studying the shamanic course, we started our learning in what is called the South Shield, and the archetype that oversees the South Shield is a snake. And so we spent 6 months learning how to shed and how to get out of the confines of those things that we had grown so accustomed to, but that were now no longer needed. And it was hard. And it was uncomfortable, but it was really interesting. Really taking the time to allow yourself to see the things that you have outgrown and then figure out how to wiggle out of them, what you need to do to let those things go and move on with your life. Hopefully, it is not something as horrendous as a health crisis like cancer or a car accident or a heart attack or stroke or a brain injury. Hopefully it's none of those things. But if it is, I believe you can live through it. And I believe it's just one of those things in life showing you that it's time to discard parts of you and move on to the next growth cycle. Easy for me to say sitting here, I know. All right, mindful moment. Breathe slowly with your eyes closed and feel one aspect of your current world that seems confining. Rather than focusing on the people or circumstances involved, try to feel this confinement as the threshold of your next growth. I like that. Meditate on how the peace of God within you might stretch and stand more fully, so that being who you are more completely will break the shell of this confinement. Pray to understand that none of this is bad, but simply necessary for the growth of your soul. All right, so I want to go back to the last one. Meditate on how the peace of God within you might stretch and stand more fully, so that being who you are more completely will break the shell of this confinement. So I moved from a very, very conscious community in northern Nevada, in the Reno, Tahoe area. I was surrounded by people who really took their conscious evolution seriously and spent time co-creating and cultivating conscious evolution, like truly changing the way you think to where it becomes part of you. But you do then eventually outgrow that. So I went from living in that kind of, those were my friends, those were the people I was surrounded with, to where I am living now, which is south, I guess we're considered southeast Texas. It's very southern here. And there were times when I would mistakenly talk to someone about something that I thought was pretty okay and safe, and just the whole vibe would change. Like, it was just so strange. I, for months, did not have anyone to talk to. I've been here a year and a half, and there are still very few people for me to talk to about the things that are important to me. You know, energy work, mental health, how those two things come together. All of the things that seem so outer limits here were really kind of everyday conversations where I came from. It's definitely interesting to be isolated. I would almost say that being shut down by COVID was a relief, because then I didn't have to go out into the world and try to talk to people. So then I could just keep all those weird thoughts to myself. But what I found was I began to back myself up a little bit, or I was letting those layers build up. It's like a snake that's not able to shed and grow. I was feeling very confined, and I still kind of am, but it's my responsibility to find ways to shed my own skin and grow, no matter what else is going on around me. And that, again, is part of the growth. I have found a few more open-minded people. It's nothing like where I came from, but it's better. It's better than I thought it would be. And I think part of the fun of it is that my thinking is still kind of way out there, but they are kind of getting their eyes opened. So where I left a situation where I was definitely a student a lot of the time, sometimes I wasn't, sometimes, I think each of us has our own mastery, and sometimes I was the master, but much of the time I was the student, because I'm still really kind of new to all of this, 7, 8 years being in this realm, or consciously choosing to be in this realm. I'm sure the realm was around me here and there, but I really was suppressing it. So now that I'm here, I've spent that 7 or 8 years up there. My kids are so loud. Up in Nevada, feeling my way through all of this and learning from other people who have been on the path so much longer than I have. And now I'm down here, and I guess I was used to being the student all the time. I was used to having mentors, and I call my shaman Shamama. I was used to having my Shamama to run to and get under her wings, like a mama chicken. And I don't have that here. And so I kind of had to go through those growing pains of like, okay, I'm alone. But what it's done is it's made me count on myself and look within and realize that even though I didn't feel ready to be out of the nest, I'm ready to be out of the nest. And it's put me in a position to nurture other people who are newly stepping onto the road, the path, the good red road, as I like to call it. And I guess that's where I'm supposed to be. That's my next growth cycle is, so my next growth cycle is to be the mentor and be the shamama, be the mama chicken. Clearly I'm on the right path of being the mama chicken because my son is outside crowing like a rooster. Oh, and his nickname is Rooster. Isn't that funny? See how that all works together? Just when I thought I was rambling aimlessly, it all comes together through a child, no less. Oh my goodness, I know these last few videos have been long because I keep talking, but there's just stuff coming out of my brain right now. And so where else am I going to share it? I ain't got nobody else to talk to. My dogs are tired of hearing it. All right, so if this is your first time here, I'm going to give you a breakdown of what the hell I'm doing. So, in February, my friend sent me a book, and I started reading it, even though it was a day book that starts in January. And it was this book. Oops, that's my bill. The Book of Awakening by Mark Nepo. My beautiful friend Liz sent it to me, and it was exactly what I needed at exactly the right moment, as she is so wonderful at doing. And I started reading it, and then in March, after the shutdown, I was still reading it, and the voices that I hear, my spirit guides, I guess, kept telling me to read it out loud and to post it like on Facebook, and that just wasn't gonna happen. I just wasn't ready. And then in April, I really went down a dark rabbit hole of sadness and depression and hopelessness, absolute hopelessness. And I certainly was in no shape to read at that point because I could barely function. So then, May, June, July, and the voice is getting louder and it's more urgent. And so at the end of August, I was like, okay, fine, I'll do it. It seems so stupid. But here we are. We're in November, and I'm still doing it every day. And in the meantime, every now and then, just when I think this is dumb, I'm not going to do this anymore, someone reaches out to me and they let me know that it means something to them. So I'm still here. And that's how, and now it's on YouTube, which is so crazy. And thank you for all 2.5 of you that watch my videos, or even if you don't watch them, you just something, I don't know what's going on out there, but thank you. And from this has kind of now come a podcast, and it was also called the Vanessa Connection. I am thinking of changing the name, so I'm still going back and forth with it. The YouTube channel is going to stay the Vanessa Connection, but the podcast, it has a different feel. So I don't know. I'm going to try to put the link. I'll try to remember to put the link in the description thing. I'm pointing like this, like it's right there. I don't know if it's right there or not. But I have to, there's a description that I put. There's a description box. Do you know what I'm talking about? Okay. And then down at the bottom, I will put the links for the platforms that you can listen to the podcast on. And I think I only have 4 episodes on there. I'm trying to have another one out this week. We'll see. One of my kids has decided to join sports, and that's changing things in my world. So we'll see. I'm trying to stay consistent, not for myself or not for anything, but because people have been reaching out to me. And so I know when you're in a funk and you are grasping for anything, when you're just grabbing for a finger hold on a ledge, I know that having something out there that's consistent that you can reach for is sometimes the thing that keeps you from falling off the ledge. So know that I'm trying to do that, okay? And if you're here, even if I don't know you, and I feel like I know all 2.5 of you that watch my videos, but if you're watching this and I don't know you, it doesn't matter. I love you, and I'm here. And on this video, I show up every day. On the podcast, I'm trying to show up once a week, okay? So I love you. Have a magnificent day. Bye.